Yeah.
Okay, and we are live. Okay, hi everyone. Welcome
Nice.
to a new episode of Global Citizens. My name is Calvin. I am the show's host, and I'm also its creator. So this is actually the first ever back-to-back episode. As yesterday I did one with Miss Joanna Monenge, and now we actually have Caleb Lin, who is actually one of the co-hosts of the podcast 92 Mew. So along with that, he is also actually working with children in church, if I'm not mistaken, because
Hmm.
I actually hear from your own podcast.
That's
So
right.
Caleb, I'll just give you the platform for now. Maybe if you don't mind, introduce yourself to my audience.
Yeah, sure. So I am Caleb. Nice to meet you. So our podcast is actually "Nice to Meet You," a play on the "Nice to Meet You" instead of "Nice to Meet You." But it was like something really, really dumb and stupid that I thought of immediately. So that's how that's how it got its name. I'm Caleb. I I'm currently in Hong Kong right now and stuck at home. Even though Hong Kong right now we're not too bad, we're allowed to go out. So like after this, I might go out for lunch or something. Compared to where my co-host lives, she's literally stuck at home. But she's working today, so unfortunately she's not able to join us. She would have loved to, but then I'm here representing, I guess. But I was born in the States, moved to Singapore when I was about 2 years old, and then to Hong Kong when I was about 14. Yeah, about 14. And then went back to the States for college and then back to Hong Kong again. And so that's like a short 30-second introduction of my life.
All right. Okay. If anybody wanna guess Caleb's age, please go ahead. Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything on that. Okay, so actually, I also need to congratulate you because I actually saw your Instagram recently. You just got engaged. Congratulations, my friend.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will now just jump in. Okay, so it's customary for every TCK to have to hit me for this in the first
Okay.
question. Firstly is, what is your definition of home? And also, does
Uh-huh.
it lean more towards the people that you love or the physical location itself?
That's a really, really good question, actually. And so I think this was the concept of home was something that I wouldn't say struggle with personally, but I know that a lot of my friends struggle with. And so I have actually thought through quite deeply about this issue because I think the concept of home not only defines where you are, but also who you are. And so, therefore, I see when you split it into people you love and the physical location, that actually explains really well the who you are defined by people you love, and then the where you are in the physical location. Personally, I would lean towards the people I love. I generally, when I move around, the location doesn't really matter to me because I personally tend to adapt really well. And so, for example, when I moved to, well, then again, to be fair, when I moved from Singapore to Hong Kong when I was 14, like two of the places weren't too dissimilar in the fact that they were both big cities, but the language was quite different. The culture was generally a little, actually quite different because Singapore is more multi-cultural. And so, but comparatively, like Singapore to Hong Kong wasn't that bad. And maybe I think thinking back, that was what helped me realize that home was more of the people around me. So for me, it is definitely the people I love I would consider what home is.
All right. Okay, for those who just tuned in to the show for the very first time, yeah. So Global Citizens is a webcast or as a platform whereby I invited people who has experienced multicultural life, primarily TCKs, digital nomads, and of course expatriates. I also on occasion would invite international speakers as due to the requirement of their career, they would spend considerable amount of time abroad. So why I actually do this is because I want to show people the difference is that when you come to a country as a tourist, yes, you are exposed to their culture. But within a week, or maybe even a few days, or maybe by luck in a month, you are back to your home country, you are back to where you have always been. But when you live in the country, you have to adjust to a new set of culture, a new set of lifestyle, and as a result, it forms a different kind of mindset, different kind of individuals who may have difficulty fitting in. So this is in a sense a platform so that for people who has experienced this lifestyle to know that you are not alone. There are people who has experienced it too. Okay, so for Caleb, right? All right, I'll get back to the questions again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Uh, this is something that I heard when I was watching your own podcast. I found out there's
Mhm.
actually a second episode, so I'll watch it a bit later. Sorry about that. I was doing my
No
own,
problem, man.
so I'm quite busy on that. Okay, so is it true that the inspiration of your own podcast is because you were bored at one point, and also what is the long-term goal that you want to accomplish from it?
Oh, so you're asking why I started?
Yeah.
I guess. Well, I mean, other than the fact that I bought this really nice mic a long time ago, and I've always wanted to start something where people of a similar background will be able to come and share. And so I thought the form of a podcast is perfect, especially during this time around, like where everyone's stuck at home, and I can't really meet people. Being able to talk and chat, sit around, and chat about our backgrounds and how it affected us, I think that's something that was really on my heart. And when I asked Sheila, she immediately jumped on it. She was like, "Oh, it's gonna be great." And for her, it's more of she wants to allow people to have this space where they can share their feelings, because a lot of time as kids, when you're moving around, and specifically Asian kids, right? When you're moving around,
Yeah.
because of culture and because of how our family dynamics work, it's really hard for us to express, and it's really hard, especially to our parents, like to talk about it. And I know that a lot of times this has created adds on, and then it creates something that's deep within. And so being able to just share openly, I think that's something also beneficial to the person on the hot seat, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, actually, I can contribute. I can attest to that. The thing
Mm-hmm.
is because when typically, especially parents who has only lived in one country, we like to call them monocultures here. They tend to only adapt the mindsets of the locals, and once you get to a certain age, you do not understand why other people behave this way, and in a sense, a lot of them refuse to accept others' mindset. It's because that's the only thing they know. Humans love a
Mm-hmm.
sense of familiarity. And for us, cross-culture kids or people who has experienced a multicultural lifestyle, we tend to develop or gravitate towards something which, well, when we are younger, we tend to find something which is more fun in a sense. And when we start doing it, and well, it become a part of who we are. And when our parents sees this, they can't really accept it. So this actually caused a lot of problem, especially in an Asian society which has a lot of heavy conservatism.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I actually want to jump into recent incidents that I'm really saddened about. I've covered it in my past episode or even a podcast that interviewed me. So this is actually relating to a recent xenophobia attack because,
Okay.
well, we have a certain president who keep calling it the Chinese virus, which I'm not going to say the name, so let's not jump to conclusion. You know who it is. All right. So so the theory of this is rooted based on as an excuse to be racist. So racism is traceable as early as during the wartime. I mean, like, if your granddad's first impression of meeting an Asian is them hacking their battalion to death, and then, well, they generally develop a hatred for it. How do you feel in our current society now to actually understand that what happened in the past is the past? It shouldn't have been brought along with us.
Um, this is this is a really tough question, right? There's a lot of
Yeah.
different layers, and for me, honestly, I personally have not experienced racism in reference to what happened in the past, right? I'm ethnically Chinese, and so more generally, the negative sentiments come more recently when China has slowly became more of a global player, right, in the world.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, in regards to the past, to history, I know. Obviously, there are some people who confuse all Asians as to be the same, right? And then that
Yeah,
would
nah, if that's
naturally,
the case, man, I mean, come on, even African Americans are upset with it. Do you think we Asians do? And Asians are not just Chinese people, by the way.
right? Exactly,
Filipinos,
exactly,
Indians are also considered part. Oh, sorry, Middle Easterns also. I think in like Lebanon. Yeah, we are all Asians.
definitely, 100%. And so it's like when people group and then they ignorantly group and cluster and call everyone the same. That's when we lose the first of all individuality, but also on the other hand, you get the history confused because if you're talking about like say your example, it would not have been the Chinese people hacking the grandparents, but I understand the sentiment, and I think it's really hard. But there is also some good in that nowadays people are more open with the
Yeah.
internet. They get to see a lot more, right? For example, I went to a really small school in rural um, South Carolina, right? It's down south.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before. It's like my friend. I have a friend who has only seen two Asian persons in his life, and I was the second one, and I was the only one that he actually interacted with. Now, a lot of the misconceptions or wrong or negative feelings might come actually not out of a like they want to hurt you or they want to harm you, but more of like they just don't know, right? And I think
Correct.
like when you mention about the monocultural, it doesn't only affect our parents; it affects everybody. And so
Yep.
because of their upbringing, that's the only thing they know. We can't judge them for that.
Yep.
We can't like blame them for that. But um, being able to be open and then share life with them, I think that helped a lot. And so now the guy I was referring to, the person I was referring to, actually moved out of where he was and then is now in Asia. And so that's really
Oh,
interesting
okay.
because of not of any fault on their part, because of their upbringing or where they are, of this ignorance, which isn't like a bad thing if you're willing to learn more. I think a lot of times what we need to do is just to be open, just to show them, like this podcast, right? Like this podcast will allow them to understand all the different cultures around the world. Even if they don't live there, they can go online, watch your podcast, and then be able to see, wow, so many different episodes. I see it's 46 right now. There's like 45 other
Yeah.
people at least that are from a different place, that have a different upbringing. And I think being able to understand and get to know the other person, that's when slowly all these hard uh, things that you were taught from a kid, you will slowly release them and find out, oh, it's based on lies or it's based on untruths, half truths. And eventually, when you find out the truth, then it'll be very easy to let go of your misconceptions, I think.
Yeah. I think it's actually good that we know the history, we understand it, but
Mm-hmm.
how we want to act on it is based on our own perspective. Okay,
Exactly.
sorry for those watching. I apologize in advance in case we may lose one of our signals. We live in an extremely packed we live in an extremely packed situation now
Mm-hmm.
since everybody is at home, and well, the only entertainment we have is our Wi-Fi based entertainment. So if you lose our signal, just wait for a few minutes, or if you want to, the show will be on my own Facebook page, and so you guys can watch it again. So not to worry about that. Yeah, I apologize in advance for that, because when we want to start the broadcast, just to let you guys the truth, we were having difficulty on each one of our Wi-Fi, so that was
Yeah,
really
that did
funny.
take a while.
All right, so I actually want to ask now is an alternate path on that. Maybe we ask something in a much more positive version of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? You've lived in the United States before. I
I
think it's
did.
quite common that especially during, I think maybe in the 90s or even maybe in the early 2000s at that time, uh, the perception of you being from Asian is, well, this is something that actually one of my past guests has actually mentioned, is
Hmm.
that when he came back from Hong Kong, when he was back living in the States, he was asked, "Have you ever ridden a water buffalo?"
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing they thought they know. However, okay, so for your question is, what do you think is an appropriate form of representation of the Asian in the media? The reason being is that people will only thought Asians which we are good in mathematics or we know kung fu somehow. I don't know how that come out, but I think the kung fu part is because of Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, that's right. Um, in media, I think
Yeah.
I wouldn't say all representations are positive, but the
Yeah.
fact that there are more and more in Hollywood, I think that's a really good sign.
Yeah.
Recently, shoot, I forgot his name. He's a really famous Korean actor in Hollywood. Do you know the movie Harold and Kumar?
Yeah. Yeah. John Cho, was it?
Yeah. So he wrote an opinion editorial. So he posted his op-ed on LA Times, and in regards to the COVID situation. And I think while what he wrote about and the contents were pretty sobering, I think the fact that he has that voice and that he has that influence to be able to write these kind of things and people will look at it and realize what's happening is amazing. Before, like you said, 90s, 2000s, the only representation you had really in the Western media were like early movies, kung fu is big. That's why everyone thinks that Asian people can do kung fu. I can't even like I don't know. I can't even do a proper chop, whatnot. But I think a lot of the perception is based on movies, right? TVs. That's all they
Yeah.
know. But so nowadays there are more and more cultural references that are pretty accurate because like the directors, more and more directors are Asian, more and more actors and actresses are Asian, and the fact that there are a lot of more shows which are based on the Asian lifestyle, which are like A-list, like they have A-list stars, they have really high budgets. The fact that it can get out there, I think, is the positive thing. Now, does Crazy Rich Asian represent every Asian person? Of course not.
No.
That
No.
doesn't represent me at all. I am not rich. I am not crazy. I am Asian. Hopefully, I'm not crazy. But anyway, so while there are a lot of representation, I think it'll take time. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not fully there yet, but I think it's a good trend. We see A-listers now who are Asian, right? And so hopefully, eventually. Oh, okay. So one thing I think we need to address, right? I don't know about you. So I'm not doing the interview now. I know I'm the one to interview, but I do have a question for you. What do you think,
Sure.
like as a TCK, as a person who has gone across all the different cultures, right? What are your views when talking about a person's ethnicity? Like for me, okay, so where I'm coming from for this question, right? For me, I think while I am very pro like knowing your history, knowing who you are and your background and your culture. Personally, I think I have started to lean towards this international, this TCK identity, where I feel like this identity trumps my Chinese identity, say, for example. And so, therefore, when I view other people, it's not like I'm colorblind. I respect what ethnicity they are, but it has become less effective to me. So I don't know. Can you what? How do you view that for yourself?
Is it anything to do with cultural misappropriation or something on that?
Mm,
Or
more personal. Like when you interact with, say, a person from another culture, right? Would you think because you had like a cross-cultural, multicultural background, would you be more like how would you interact with the person? Would that change if you weren't from
no,
multiculture?
no,
You don't think it would change? Okay.
no. The thing is this. Uh, have you ever watched the show Avatar? Yeah, the one
Are two
whereby
or the blue people?
no, not the blue people. No, not
Oh,
that
okay,
one.
okay, okay.
It's the other one. The one with the guy who can forever the bend element things. Okay, so I've quoted that show several times. In fact, for one of my episodes, I actually have one of my good friend. His name is George. He's the managing director of a company called Faya in Singapore. So he and I are big fans of the show. We like to use quotes from that show a lot
Yeah.
often for our content, or even we discuss an episode. So
Uh,
the thing is that whenever I see somebody who I've had 45 plus people, including yourself, I have 46 now, plus people who come to my show who has experienced a multicultural background. So I couldn't care less where they were from back then. The thing is that it's the best when you see a person as who they are instead of where they are from. The reason
yeah.
being is that for one thing, when as I mentioned in the earlier part of the introduction, when you are multicultural, you tend to have to be a chameleon, and as a result, you adapt some of the other cultures and other ethnic style of speaking, maybe, or maybe some of the way they do stuff. Like for example, I've lived in Singapore for 15 years. I came back from Indonesia. I got to be honest, I am extremely frustrated. The reason being is that the best part about Indonesia is also its worst. For one thing, is they are openly accepting. However, throughout their entire life, they are exposed to a sort of a caste style system of living. Is that when you're somebody who may be a foreign born, they will look at you impressively. However, the thing is because they expected you to follow their style of living. And if you come from a developed country, okay, I didn't come from a developed country. Sorry, I'm born here. The thing is that when you are used to living in Singapore, which has always been extremely productive, the country that demands production, and you come to Indonesia, which has an extremely relaxed lifestyle, it became a complete culture shock to you. So okay, I will quote one of my past guests. I think there was one time where he actually met an African American. He's an Italian who lived
Yeah.
in China for 30 years of his life.
Wow.
So when he first met African American, he thought it has to be something which has that funny kind of handshake when they shake hands. But the thing is, it's you don't. It's best to see a person as who they are.
Definitely.
Actually, I actually used your show's the full meaning of your show's title for this show's title. It's because actually that's the best way to actually meet somebody. Nice to meet you. However, you don't have to judge them of where they are from. Just try to know the person a little more. And well, there's definitely a lot of miscom here and there. For one thing, I've actually met some people online. The thing is with Facebook, you can just add anybody, and
True.
I have no prejudice at all. I create a show for multicultural, for goodness sake. There's no way I can be prejudiced. But the thing is that when there are some of the people who added me, maybe they're from more Middle Eastern part, or maybe in like Bangladesh, which I believe it's near to India. So I have no prejudice at all. But the thing is that sometimes when the way they introduce themselves to you, it may not seem really comfortable. It's because everybody have their own space where you are comfortable with. So if some of them may, well, because they are used in the way they are is this way, they thought when they approach you, it could be done that way. But the thing is that it doesn't work that way. So I think it's best when you meet somebody is just to not greet them like a normal individual, I guess, in the basic form of hi, nice to meet you, or well, different culture has a different form of handshake, so try to get to know that first, of course, and well, try to get to know the person better, because you may learn something out of it instead of, well, develop an unnecessary prejudice.
That's right. That's right.
All right.
Fully.
Okay. Wow. I just realized I talk a lot more than I asked. Oh crap. Okay, moving on. Nah, I mean it's cool. It's cool. I love it when my own guests ask me a question, because I think it's this sense of interaction actually is what is a podcast supposed to be.
That's
Instead
right.
of I say, you talk, and something that way. That is what happened in real life.
Yeah.
All right. So, what do you think has been a blessing and yet at the same time as a curse for yourself as a TCK? So, maybe I add this in a little context. So one of my viewers who reached out to me, and then she actually told me that she told her parents one time they were having an argument. You
Mm-hmm.
bringing me out of my country, out of our country, and now bringing me back ruined my life. Because she lives in South Korea, a country
Uh-huh.
which is still a developed country, but the thing is they still have a heavy, strong emphasis on tradition. So
Yes.
she spent most of her life in Philippines, Australia, a country which has a lot more laid back, a lot more
Mm-hmm.
acceptance, open-minded. So when she's back to South Korea, it's become a source of headache for her. So for yourself, the how does that work?
Oh wow, blessing and curse. I could totally feel that sentiment because a lot of times, like as kids, right,
Yeah,
TC kids, when you move, it's not your choice.
yeah,
Um, it's your parents. They, for whatever reasons, decide to move the whole family over. And I think for me personally, the biggest blessing that I could count is definitely the fact that I have become much more independent and adaptable. And so I love, so from a young age, I love to be independent. I love going on solo trips, go
yeah,
visit new places all by myself. I love being able to just go through the airport as fast as I can because sometimes when you travel with other people, it's just really slow, right? And so,
yeah,
like a pet peeve when I'm like, oh my gosh, with the person in front of me, you should have taken out your laptop like 10 minutes ago, or stuff like that, right? And
yeah,
so it became like the blessing is that I became really independent and I'm very easily adaptable. But I think
yeah,
at the same time, um, it is also sort of there are downsides to it. I wouldn't call it a curse necessarily, but
yeah,
it's also when I've become this independent and self-reliant, it's really hard to be able to say put up really intimate relationships with friends, to be able to have super deep talks sometimes because my independence has sort of built a like I don't need other people. I don't need to tell other people stuff, and I don't need to open up and stuff like that, right? And so, in a sense, the independence also became a crutch in relationship building because relationships are all about being vulnerable, all about being able to open up. And then I think I'm on the process to try to break down that wall,
you're
but
engaged, you have no choice. You're engaged, you have no choice.
that's true. That is true. Oh, that was really hard. So yeah, as Kelvin has mentioned, I am engaged, and then the whole dating process was really hard. Good thing, she's also a TCK, and so
Oh, okay. Oh, that works. Oh,
there are
that's easier.
some
That's easier.
yeah, there are some like places where it's easy, but for her, she was very open, right? She shared everything. But for me, I was like, it's so hard to share because it's not natural. Like it's not like I don't want to share, right? I do want to share, but it's like I don't see a point in sharing because of this independence that I built up. And so I think it's really interesting. It's both a blessing and sometimes a curse. So yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
When my older sister first came to Singapore, at that time they just graduated. They've lived in Indonesia their whole life.
Mm-hmm.
We have, I think, I have two older sisters, so
Okay.
I can't work with my older sister for over a year, and with my second sister at that time we don't exactly argue, but it's difficult for me to also interact with her because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can relate where you're coming from. It's because I am actually an individualist myself, so
Mm-hmm.
I mean, well, there are certain parts of me that doesn't like it when I have to share. And yeah, I do agree with you. I don't like to travel with other people sometimes.
Yeah.
Come on, man. How difficult it is, right? Why can't we just come to a place and, like, I don't know, maybe you're there for a week, you just visit one place every single time. You don't have to hit every single landmark in a country.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just easy to just. Why is it so wrong for us to laze around in a hotel? It doesn't
I
hurt.
agree.
And if you come from a country, if you come from a like a warm climate, you don't like to go out often to a cold part. since come on, man, it's freezing. Yeah, I can relate to that. Definitely, definitely. Oh god.
Yeah, traveling. Well, this is just a personal preference, obviously, but traveling with
Yeah.
people is so much work. My
Yeah.
gosh, especially those. Well, it's not their fault, right? It's not their fault they don't get to travel too much, but especially those who are traveling for like the first few times, and then oh my gosh,
Yeah.
I love the airport when I'm alone, but
Yeah.
when I'm with other people, the airport it becomes a nightmare. I'm like, oh, it's so slow. Anyway,
Yeah. 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 I actually remember that last time when I was in a place called Medan, which is actually my father's hometown. We were
okay.
trying to pray for Cheng Beng at that time, which is the praying for our deceased ancestors and stuff. The thing is that when it's still in the middle of the corona, so the thing is that at least we can go out unless it's for absolute necessity. So
Yeah.
to me is that at that time and I was in the airport, I'm like, oh my god, I'm in the Disneyland, yay.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, and every single TCK that I know of was either laughing or giving me a thumbs up since they
Right.
can relate to that. That was
That's awesome.
that was amazing.
Yeah, speaking of
Okay.
airports, it's really it's okay. I can't say for everybody. From what I've experienced, it's not a spectrum. It's either a love or hate relationship for a lot of
Yep.
TCKs. So for me personally, and you, we love it, right? It's like
Yeah.
you see so many different people. It feels like home because of all
To
the
be
different
fair,
cultures we pass through,
to be fair, I
right?
used to hate it. I used to
Oh,
hate
okay,
it. The
okay.
reason being was that my dad used to work outside of the city a lot. So when I was a kid, my dad would constantly travel. So that means when I see an airport, it means bye bye, daddy. However,
Yeah.
when after I left to study in Singapore and I keep doing that, I'm like, oh shit, I did the same thing to my dad. So in a sense, it's like, okay, now it's at least I can enjoy it when I'm with other. I can enjoy it. The thing is that, but in the past, I used to hate it a lot. But
Yeah,
being a kid, I mean, you associate the place with means bye bye dad. But
exactly.
now is I am doing the exact same thing to my family. I'm like, okay, I feel really bad about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like you said, it is like the reason why people hate it. A lot of these kids hate it is because the airport is a place of goodbyes, right? That's where you say
Yeah.
bye to all your loved ones, to all your friends that you've made over the past year, well, it's not sometimes. A lot of times these byes are permanent. It's like you'll never see them
Yeah.
again, and that's why
Oh god.
it's like either a love or a hate relationship. And yeah, definitely, it's not easy when you say bye, especially like when you're a kid to your dad. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay. I got actually two more questions for you. All
Okay.
right. So, how important do you feel is a creative outlet for a TCK? So the thing is that I realize this is actually a conversation we have at a TCK WhatsApp group run by Jedediah Silut, J the TCK. So we actually last time highlighted the fact that a lot of TCKs tend to lean towards like a mission based or maybe a creative based career. Or by luck, of course, some of them managed to work in the United Nations. And well, I haven't really managed to get a diplomat to get on my show. So hopefully I can find one eventually.
Definitely.
And there's actually only like around three that I know of that is considered pursuing a career that is more towards that people would consider a conventional. But the reason why they have to do that is because they are married. One of them is expecting a baby. So that one is more towards finance related. But the thing is that even then it makes it hard for them because the thing is that even if they settle, they still want to find a way to be able to go to travel. So
Yeah.
what do you think on this?
I think it's I won't be able to answer on a creative medium kind of deal, but in regards to your job selections, I think I definitely have explored this. It's really interesting, actually. What you said is a general trend among my friends as well, and I think when you say it's more of a mission, I have a lot of TCK friends who are in like NGOs, and I have also a lot of friends who, like you said, are want a kind of job where it allows them to. It's
Travel
less
around.
about it's less about the 9 to 5, right? I think personality plays a big part, first of all, but
Yeah.
I think one of the many root cause, one of them is because we never had a stable location called where we can call home, and
Yeah.
we never really, and because of all the moving around, we never really thought that we wanted to just dig deep in our roots, buy a place, and just settle there forever, right?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that because buying a house is not number one forefront on our minds, then it allows us a lot more not financial freedom. It allows us much more choice. And like, if you buy a house, you're stuck there. You have to have a
Yep.
job to pay mortgage,
Yep.
right? Unless you're
Yep.
fortunate enough to be pretty well off, where you inherit, or you can buy a house. But if in a situation where you have to buy your own house and you have to work for it, then it's a long time. I mean, Hong Kong, we don't even have to talk about Hong Kong, even in another, because Hong Kong, like, the houses are crazy expensive. If you can, not a lot of people can, if you can pay the down payment, it takes at least 20, 30 years to pay off your mortgage, right? Even if
Okay.
it's not
Yeah.
20 to 30 years of
Same in
constant,
Singapore.
yeah, same in Singapore. Even if it's not a constant 20, 30 years of like income that needs to be set, even if it's like 5 to 10 years, that is a huge chunk of your life, and that requires you to get like a very stable 9 to 5 job where the income is consistent, right? And because we don't have like a house per se to hold us down, I feel that is the reason why a lot of TCKs would generally be free to lean towards where you can be like the income doesn't have to be as stable, and work towards a goal or a mission that they have, or something that during their upbringing they felt a passion for. And so I think like, there are a wide variety of reasons. I think this might be one of them. I'm not sure. People can test against it. If they have thoughts against it, they can comment and tell you. But that's one of my theories. That's one of my theories.
All right. Okay, so this is actually going to be my last question. It's actually a little twist from my usual final question, and
Okay.
well, I kind of have to credit to Ben for this. He left a like here, so yeah, thanks Ben. So I actually want to do a twist on it because I kind of quite bored, I guess, in a sense, asking quite the same thing, even though I will get a different answer.
You gotta change it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's my show. I can change whatever I want.
Right, you do what you want.
All right. So, if you can get a drink or a coffee with maybe choose three people who it can be TCK or it can be a non-TCK. The person could be could be a deceased now, or maybe it's still alive, to come to your show or even just to talk with them. Who would you pick?
Can you repeat? You said if I had a choice to have a drink or have a chat with one person, three people?
Three people. Three people.
Wow.
Yep.
You give a lot more choices than usual. Usually people say one. So three I'll have to think of. Okay. So this isn't like a standard question. I did not prepare for this. I did not know this was coming, but so I have to think. But I think one of the three would definitely be. Oh, actually, I don't know. So I was going to say, like, the person who. All right. Actually, I do know. So instead of three, I'll just take two. That's all I need.
All right. Go ahead.
And the two are actually my mom and dad. I think I haven't been living with them for quite a while, and they are in another country. We do have chances to talk, right? So it's nothing special. Maybe I should call them right after this. But but I think what we'll be talking about specifically in regards to my TCK upbringing, I think I really do. Like, there are a lot of things that I could talk about, I could complain about, and I could be a bit negative about, because I didn't choose. Like, when I was 14, I moved when I was 14. I had like I was like 14 years old is when you like start discovering yourself and you start building a set of friends, and then you're like, oh, discovering like where you are in life. And school is like on a general trend towards like, oh, I'm getting used to this. And so it's like I could have been a lot more angry. But for me, I really would want to thank my parents, because even though they didn't exactly ask us if we wanted to move, or they could have done so many better things, right? They could have like prepped us for the move. They could have given us and more time to prepare, like tell us way earlier instead of telling us like half a year ago or 1 year ago. Or they could have just included us in like the conversation. But I think they did best to their knowledge, like what they know, what their experiences are. They did their best, and I really have to thank them for that. And also, while I was not like a terrible kid, I did have times where I lashed out, right? Yeah, who does?
If when you do get the chance to do that, prepare some tissues. I had that with my dad and mom. Trust me, that was a mess.
Oh yeah, I bet. Yeah, and so I think it's really important because even if you feel like you have settled your emotions, um, but having not talked to your parents about it, I think it's a really good thing to do that, even if it's just to express everything. It's a really I don't know. It feels like therapy, or maybe.
Maybe I can help you out with that. It can
Okay.
be a little bit. It can be heavy. It's definitely heavy, but it can be relieving in a certain extent. It's what I felt when my own time when I did that with my parents. They're actually upstairs now. My dad's been waiting to use the living room since this is his favorite spot. It's like if you watch Big Bang Theory, to him this is like the Sheldon spot.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So
He gave it to you, man. He gave it to you.
no, the thing is because he wasn't up. That's why I always try to start my show before 12. Because the thing is because he has no choice. Because he usually only start going down by 12. And yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, how was your conversation?
Sorry?
How was your conversation with your parents?
Nah, that was quite deep because at that time, the thing is that I don't have a poker face. So the thing is that when I'm happy, you can see it. When I'm upset, you can see it. And my parents know that quite well, particularly my mom, since I got it from her. So yeah, and my father is what would happen if, let's say, Son Goku is your father. The thing is because my dad is a really fun dad, and he's very nurturing. But the problem is that there's certain parts of him that you just can't stand. You just can't stand. And the thing is because, well, having lived in Indonesia, it forms his mind into already certain mindsets. He's in his 60s. This is who he is. You can't really change it. And being a TCK, if you know, is that as both of us are individuals, so we both can be somebody who can be outright blunt to the point of rude. Because to us is that you like it, you don't like it. This is me. So, and the thing is, I think this is a lot of TCK experience. This is because those who are the types who constantly move around, they don't have the time to put up a front. This is who they are. You like us or you don't like us. That's the way it is. So my mom easily detected. My father, on the other hand, well, it's not that he couldn't understand. It's not that he doesn't try to. The thing is that his mind is this way. So at that time it was really heavy because the way it seems is that it seems that as though I'm not being appreciative. It's just that it's not that I don't appreciate it, but I do still have issues.
Definitely.
And and the thing is that it became a heated conversation. So it was heavy, of course, but once it's done, it's like okay, it's like okay, the weight feels lifted. Yeah, so prepare for that for your case and try to phrase the word correctly. So because, well, you just don't want to give out the impression that you're not being grateful. You are, but the problem is that, well, even when you're grateful for it, you still have developed some issues from it. So
Yeah.
that's about it.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good.
Okay, I'm actually more surprised you didn't ask me what's my 3 people that I want to have a drink or thing, but it's fine.
What was that? I'm sorry. It was a little
Sorry.
laggy.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about that. I was surprised you didn't ask me who are my 3 people instead.
Hey, dude, you wanna go?
Well, I don't mind though. I've
Go
said
ahead.
it before.
Mhm.
So one of them is impossible already. He recently passed. The late Kobe Bryant.
Oh,
Kobe Bryant is a TCK. So
yeah,
that
grew up in
one was,
it's Italian and Spanish and English.
yeah. And when I found out about it, when I woke up, I think one of the FBE, the Fine Brothers Entertainment reactor, was posting about his photos, and she was crying. I was like, wait, what's going on? I went to
Oh.
Google it. I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I seriously went into a shutdown mode immediately when I saw that.
Oh
And
man.
the night before, I actually was watching his last game in 2016 against the Utah Jazz. So I watched that. I'm like, shucks. That's one. So that's one. The second is, well, actually, I have more than 3 people. But the thing is that for this one, I would like to have 2 of them at the same time. So it's Malcolm X and the late Dr. Martin Luther King. Both of them are recently deceased. So
Mhm.
quite a fun fact. Professor X and Magneto is actually based respectively from them because their ideology formed these 2 characters. So yeah, at that time was, of course, they were championing the cause of African Americans. So we actually, so yeah, that's actually something that's, in a sense, it forms the basis of what people like you and we are doing now. It's because we understood that there was an issue. So we actually want to be able to highlight the cause, and that's what we do with. It can be an article, it can be a webcast, it can be anything.
That's right.
And the last one, he's actually not a TCK, but the thing is that he's actually a mixed race. He's actually a mixed race, and he's an American. It's Dave Batista. I was a big fan of him when I was a kid. I mean, who doesn't watch WWE as a kid, right? So, yeah, I think that can be a really fun conversation.
I bet.
And I think maybe I can add a bonus is the Dr. Tony Tan. He is actually he's a diplomat from Singapore. Dr. Tony Tan is one of my personal idols, so would love to have him. And yeah, I think I definitely have a lot more people than that. But since I give the option of 3, well, it's not that I didn't think this through, but the thing is that I'm somebody who constantly thinks. So some of this idea, whenever you ask me, I can just say it.
Nice. That's awesome.
All right, that's actually my last question. So yeah. Caleb, maybe you want to have anything you want to say? Maybe an upcoming episode for 9 to Me You?
Oh yeah. So I follow Instagram, but basically we have new episodes every Thursday. So in about 7 hours.
All right,
Hey,
guys.
thanks, Calvin, for having me on your show.
No worries, brother. Okay, all of the link for Caleb and Sheleigh's show. Sorry, I need to give a shout out for her, so she's unable to come. So yeah, maybe next time if we have the chance. But
we have a chance.
Would love to have them. So all of 9 to Me You's link to Spotify, Anchor, is put in the description box. Do check it out. I also need to thank Miss Suchi Despande, and also Ben, who actually tuned into the show today. And also do wait for tomorrow. I'm actually going to be interviewed by Miss Anna Brenner, who is actually one of my past guests. So yeah, I did a 3-peat in a sense, since this is my 3 in a row. The third one is not my own though, so I don't know. Let's call it the Patrick
Macau. You have to wake
Macau.
up early to get the couch.
Oh no! This time is fine. this time is at 2 p.m. So I have to find a way to do it.
So tell him to get lunch.
Yeah, he can't go out. Crap.
Oh,
Sorry,
that's
Pops. No worries. All right. That's the end of Global Citizens, episode 46. Do check it out, guys. Do wait for more episodes, guys, because I also will be coming up with some new articles. So, yeah, do wait for them. And thanks again, Caleb, for coming to the show. And wow, the broadcast went on smoothly. Sweet.
Nice.
All right. See ya, man.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.